Organizational culture, how I like to define it is very simply, and that's actually how many practitioners in the domain of culture also like to define it. It's simply about how we do things around here. It's a simplistic definition, but in my mind there's no definition which fits better. Can culture be transformed? I think the jury is still out on that, because culture transformation is a long drawn process and it's not something that can be done overnight. But if I were to hazard an answer, the answer is yes, but do not expect instant results, and expect a whole lot of pain in the journey towards transforming culture. Is it necessary to transform culture? Most definitely yes, because we live in a world which is getting more dynamic, more VUCA by the day, and you cannot solve tomorrow's problems using yesterday's answers. So it is important to do, it is possible to do, but what is the key is patience, resilience and staying power.
How important is culture as a determinant of success in India?
I think culture is the only determinant of success of an organization. If you look at organizations who have survived for a century and beyond, you will notice that a lot has changed about the organization. I can think of a couple of very powerful examples. But what really hasn't changed is the fundamental core values which really defined, which is I would say the fountainhead of the culture that they have. So on the surface you will notice it's a very different, very transformed organization, but the core elements of the culture continue to remain the same. So I think to answer that question, culture is the most critical determinant, rather I would say the only determinant of sustained success of an organization. As we talked about, it is possible, provided you have the staying power, the belief. So those would be the two critical elements to a successful culture transformation program. The third and most important critical element is a visible commitment of the leadership, and visible. So what is culture but a sum of individual consistently displayed behaviors. So if you want to transform culture, the first thing that needs to transform is the leadership, is the leader's behavior. Leaders need to be seen to be visibly behind the change that they are looking at transforming. As a very powerful example, let me talk about a client that I worked with. It was a European MNC in the technology, BPO and consulting space. Now, being European, they operated in a very non-hierarchical, a very flat structure, not very large power distances. In the European headquarters, for example, if you went in one morning, you would, they had a hot desking concept, so you wouldn't have a desk to sit in and you would have to find one. And it was not uncommon to walk in their headquarters and find the CEO, walk into the office and look for a desk to sit in. There were no cabins. Now, the Indian operations, for a variety of reasons, one of which was legacy, because they had acquired another organization to come into India. It was very different from the European operations, and they had to transform it. Now, to change that, of course, the first thing that the leaders did was to dismantle all cabins, bring in the hot desking concept. And when the leaders began to do it, others followed. So that I think you just can't overstate the importance of visible commitment of leadership to the culture transformation program for it to succeed.